Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. Oh my
Hello,
goodness.
is it working?
I think it's working. We're here and we're live. We're at 9 seconds, 10 seconds, 11 seconds. Congratulations. We made it. Let me tell you, technology is not always on my side, but I am sending good vibes because today I am lucky enough to be talking to Peggy. Peggy, what is your last name? How do you say your last name?
It's Wirgau.
Wirgau. Well, Peggy Wirgau, I'm so glad to have you here. I am Allison Nissen. I am the Streaming Media Chair and a Board of Director of the Florida Writers Association. So you would think automatically that I could figure out how to use Crowdcast. But there's a new lesson in this for all of us because we can all learn new things. Isn't that right?
That's for sure.
FWA is an all-volunteer nonprofit group for all writers at all levels. We do writing conferences, workshops, webinars, podcasts, and events like this one. So thank you for joining us at the Florida Writers Book Expo. We have 60 booths across all genres with some amazing authors for you to meet. And we have one of those authors here today. It's Peggy. We are so glad you're here. Peggy is a Michigan native, and she lives in Delray Beach, Florida. She loves to bring history to life for her readers. And she has written for Appleseed's Insight, Learning Through History, and contributed to Why? Titanic Moments. Is that correct? Am I on the right track here?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Right.
Awesome. Well, let's get started with our interview. How did you get started with writing?
Well, I think I started like a lot of people do, enjoying writing as a child and all through school. Worked on my high school newspaper and wrote different things, but didn't do anything seriously. Majored in English in college, took all the creative writing classes, but it wasn't until after my children were born that I took some writing courses, and I sold an article in a children's magazine, and then I sold some other ones. Didn't write a book for quite a while. Then I wrote one, and it was kind of a practice book. Learned a lot in the process, and started to go to writers' conferences and meet other writers and learn the craft. And I'm still learning, but my debut novel was finally just released on March 30th.
How very exciting. What inspired you to write this one?
Well, the name of it is The Stars in April, and it's based on a true story about a 12-year-old Titanic survivor. And I learned about her in 2012, which was the 100th anniversary of the sinking of the Titanic. And I was looking at another author's book. She wrote a Titanic story, and I was looking at a list of survivors and noticed that this girl, Ruth Becker, was 12 years old, and her parents were from Michigan, where I was from. And she grew up in India because they were missionaries there, and she'd been born in India, and she had a little brother that was sick. He was 2, and her parents decided that they needed to bring him home to the United States when the Indian doctors couldn't find a cure for him. So they all prepared to leave, but Ruth's father was the director of an orphanage, and he wasn't allowed to leave at that time. So instead, he splurged on second-class tickets for his wife and the children on the new Titanic. But, of course, they still had to make the voyage from India to England, too. That was a 4-week voyage. And then they boarded the ship, the Titanic. So I wanted to write about her because I found out that as they were waiting to get into the lifeboats after the collision, Ruth's mother sent her back to the cabin to get blankets. And when she came back, they were gone. They had already boarded a lifeboat, and she had to get in one by herself with 63 other strangers. But even so, during that time in the lifeboat, she was able to help some of the passengers. She shared her blankets. She gave a handkerchief to someone with a cut finger. And I just started to think, what was she like? And why would a 12-year-old girl ever be able to do something like that? And so I wondered, did she like leaving India? And, what was going on with her? So a story started to form then.
Wow. What has been the most exciting part about writing for you?
Well, I think now that the book is released, I'm really enjoying hearing from readers. There were years where I wasn't sure anybody would ever read it, and it's just so rewarding to finally hear from people that like it and want to share it, and it's just been great.
Oh, that is exciting. What's been the most difficult part about being an author?
Oh, I think the hardest is keeping motivated to write. It's a lonely job, and I second guess myself, and always get distracted, and it's hard to stay motivated. I think really it was hard to wait through the years of having this book out in the world, shopping it around at different publishers, waiting for answers, and trying to work on another book while I went through that.
And can you tell me, what advice would you give somebody else who is thinking about becoming an author?
Oh, I think the best thing is to try to write the very best book you can. And even if you think it's good and your mom thinks it's good and your friends think it's good, just take the time to really make it exceptional and get help. And there's no reason to go it alone. There's so much help available. And I learned so much at writers' conferences and made so many good friends and connections. It's just been helpful all along, and I'm still learning all the time.
Well, do you have any stories from your childhood that you think prove that you might have grown up to be an author?
Well, I wrote a book when I was 5. I think I was in kindergarten for my mom for Mother's Day. So I think that was where I got my start.
That's awesome, especially because Mother's Day is right around the corner. So what else from your life makes it into your writing, like hobbies or career or traveling, maybe pets?
I thought about that question, and I'm not sure that I have any expertise in those fields, but I think I bring a lot of my fears into my writing, just fears of the unknown and change, getting out of my comfort zone, and just knowing what those emotions are like. I try to put those into my characters.
Do you have a favorite book?
Well, I read a lot in my genre and historical fiction, and I know I shouldn't always do that, but that's what I tend to go for. So I think some of them are The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna, and all of Geraldine Brooks, The People of the Book. Just really got a lot out of those in the richness of the language and plot development.
Does that influence the voice that you have taken on as a narrator?
I think it might, subconsciously.
What would you describe your narrative as? I assume, were you writing in first person? Were you writing your book with
Yes.
It's in first person?
Yeah, it is. I can't even imagine writing it any differently. I know some people don't like first person, or they have a hard time with it, and it just came naturally to me. I'm just telling this story through her eyes, best I can imagine.
And what's coming next for you?
Well, I have a book in progress that is also based on a true story about another unsung heroine. It takes place during the American Revolution in New York City. And it's something to do with George Washington's spy ring that lived in New York at that time.
Oh, very cool. That sounds like a lot of fun research.
A lot of research. Yeah. It's kind of overwhelming, but
oh my. Well, Peggy, this has been such a wonderful interview. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm glad it worked out finally.
I know. Again, we can teach people new tricks. And absolutely, as technology changes, we need to learn to change too. So thank you for being patient with me. Thank you, everyone, for watching and enjoying our time. Be sure to stop by Peggy's booth and check out her book. Do you just have one there?
I do.
All right. Well, we will have more live interviews right here.
Stars in April. Okay.
Stars in April is the name of the book.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much. If you're interested in learning more about the Florida Writers Association, visit us at floridawriters.org. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.